You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am the jocular, jovial, jolly Jim, and my partner is...
Should I try to do that, except use the same letter? Because you just did JJJ.
Yeah, I was alliterative today. Look at me getting all technical.
Cuddly, comfortable, cute.
Yeah, none of those start with an R, so they're all not valid for you. So next podcast, I expect you to come back with 3 R words that'll describe you. And remember, this is a family show. Oh, goodness. All right, so hey, first of all, it's just you and I today. It seems like the first time in a long time it's just the two of us doing a podcast. We've had a lot of guests. What happened? Did we run out, or did they just get tired of my BS?
I don't know. Could be a combination of the two. But hey, if you're a podcast listener and you got something intelligent to talk about, we're happy to hear from you.
Or you can be like me and have nothing intelligent to talk about, and they'll make you the host. So it works out either way. Okay, so we're talking. Oh, so today, I know what the plan is for today. Today I wanted to talk about an area of the construction industry that really takes up a lot of our attention and our effort here at Zentech. Well, at least my effort. Rocco doesn't really put in any effort. He just jet sets around the world. But, it takes up a lot of my work time here at Zentech, which is the idea of estimating with Bluebeam Revu, construction estimating in particular. Revu is actually, believe it or not, folks, it's the single most used software in the construction world. That's an interesting little fact for you. Over 80% of all construction firms in the U.S. report that they use Bluebeam at some level. And, no other software of any kind really even comes close to that level of saturation in that industry. So, we're really talking about a powerhouse tool for the construction world. But, the truth here is that it's also a seriously underutilized tool. There are a lot of folks out there in the construction space who use really just a few of the tools that are built into their Bluebeam package. They're using it for marking up or redlining, right? Their PDFs, and maybe they're sharing some files with subcontractors through the Revu Studio app, or a lot of folks even just use it just as a plain PDF reader. And I think that's a real shame, because Revu is one of the best and most versatile construction estimating tools out there. Like I said, I spend an immense amount of my time on training and configuring and even building custom Bluebeam tools for clients who are just kind of beginning to see the light on how powerful Revu really is when it comes to construction estimating. So let's start here, Rocco. So in terms of our construction clients, how many of them are you seeing that are interested in the estimating capabilities of Bluebeam? I mean, is that a real big draw for them, or do you find that they're mainly just looking for that basic markup tool?
No, estimating is huge. I mean, look, it's Bluebeam is not the only estimating tool on the market. Let's face it. But a lot of what we do here at Zentech is focused around Bluebeam, and so naturally we would, we interact with tons of folks that are using the product. And I'm not just talking about your small GC. I'm talking small to large companies, and I don't want to mention any company names and get ourselves into trouble here, but I mean, it's large, small to large firms, and I'm talking very large firms are using Bluebeam.
Yeah, international level firms. We deal with some clients with, literally thousands of employees across multiple countries. So, yeah, it's definitely spread very, very wide. It's not just a small, like I said, not just a small GC type of tool. So, for our listeners, right, any of you guys who may have never actually played with the Bluebeam estimating tools, let me give you kind of a quick breakdown of what it does. So Revu can take your PDFs and it can set them to any drawing scale you need. And then it gives you the ability to do, item counts and linear measurements and area calculations and even volumes, right? If that's what you need. And each item that you take off on screen it's easily labeled and it's sorted by, groups and materials, or honestly in just about any way that you need it to be sorted and filtered. And then they list them all in a table that's really very similar to an Excel workbook that exists right inside of Revu. It's called the markups list. And in truth, that markup list of line items, it can be exported directly to an actual Excel file with just a single click of a button. And another really brilliant aspect, I think, of the Revu system is that you get to fully customize the data that's tracked. Right? So you can include any information that you need for your work, right? Whether it's, the make, the model, the color, the weight, the fire rating, just about anything that you need to keep track of in your estimates, right? And not only that, but you can configure fully developed formulas in the system to handle just about any type of mathematical calculation. So in other words, if I want to tie in, the formulas for, material costs and labor costs and effort and profit and waste percentages. Again, just anything that you need. And that means that you can just go on screen, draw an item like a steel beam, right? And have the system instantly calculate the material costs, the installation fees, the beam weight, and even delivery costs, right? Whatever you want for a piece of that particular size and length. And that is some really powerful stuff on the estimating side. So Rocco, what are our clients telling you in terms of setting up the custom configuration end of this for Bluebeam? I mean, are they excited by the prospect of setting up a system that gives them, output that's really specific to their needs, or do they just kind of see it as too much effort to put in to build that on their own?
No, it depends on the customer. I mean, there's customers that are willing to put in the time to do it on their own, and they understand how to do it. And then there's customers that, they see the value, but they don't know how to get there from here, right? Nor do they have the time, and that's where we can come in and help them out. So it all depends on the customer's needs.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we do get a pretty even split along there, I think. So, when I'm actually working with our construction clients for configuring Revu, one of the most important things that I do, I think, is to really take the time to discuss their specific data needs. Bluebeam can handle, like I said, just about any type of data that you want to incorporate into each of your takeoff tools, right? Whether it's, drop-down selection list to choose a finish, set a range of available purchase prices, right? If you need text fields for, people put in special item comments, or, even if you want to do things like, say, like select, the weight, the size, distance, or any value of any kind that you need to track. And the key idea here is that before you begin setting up a system like Revu to handle your estimating process, you really need to think about exactly what information you need for every object or every line item that you're taking off. A common discussion that I run into is, when clients tell me something like, I just want tools that tell me just the length of my materials. That's all I need. I don't need any custom. I don't need anything fancy. And then once you actually start talking, right, everybody realizes, and you're discussing what it can do, and they go, yeah, I do need to choose between 5 different sizes. And you go, okay. And you go, and 12 different colors. Oh, and I need to know what room it's in. Oh, and what cost it is per linear foot. And what section of the spec does it tie to? And 100 other items, right? And don't get me wrong, I am not complaining about that. It's a very necessary and a very smart way to work. What I'm trying to say to our listeners here is that before you engage on a project setup for your Bluebeam Revu, right, trying to get it set up for estimating, you really do need to actually sit down with your people and walk through your current estimating process. Right? You want to determine what information you're going to need, and most importantly, what your current pain points or your sticking points are in your current process, so that you can really closely look at ways of eliminating those and automating the Revu system to make things faster, easier, and more accurate. Right? That's really what we're trying to do here. So, Rocco, what feedback do you get from the clients about, the ones who go ahead and want to try and set up Revu on their own? Do you find that we get a lot of folks who are turning back to Zentech for help with this because it's too hard? Or, is it just, when they do come to us, is it just more of a time versus efficiency concern?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix, right? I mean, and it comes down to your budget that you have available and the time. I mean, it's not impossible to do what we do. I often say, for example, with our pre-built tools, right? You can buy the cookies already made, or you can make them yourself. So right. with the pre-built tools that we have, the cookies are already made. So, why take hours upon hours to put them together when you have tools that are already made? But, if you prefer to do it yourself, then do it yourself. I mean, there's no right or wrong. It just comes down to preference and whether you have the time. I've had plenty of people say, "Oh, that's really time consuming. I'd rather just pay you guys." And then there's customers that come to us and say, "Well, we can't afford to do that right now. It's something we want to do down the road, but, for now, I think I'll just try to do it internally ourselves."
Yeah.
So.
No, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing difficult about using this system for estimating and setting it up and configuring it to your own needs. I think it's something that anybody, who wants to put in a little bit of time and effort can do. We spend a lot of time teaching people how to do that as well. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It does come down completely to, who in your company can you spare for, a week or two, to really sit down and work their way through this and do nothing but focus on that. And that's really where I think the break is there. So it's a good point. Okay. So, all right. So let's take a break here so we can hear from today's sponsors. And when we get back, I want to get into some of the industry-specific tools that Zentech's developed for Bluebeam estimating and how folks in the construction world are kind of responding to those. All right, folks, we'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, Rocco, so we are sponsoring ourselves yet again today. What is it we want to talk about?
We're going to talk about me today, Jim.
No one wants to talk about you. Not even you.
Oh, fine. Let's talk about Zentech Tech Blocks.
Awesome. I like Zentech Tech Blocks. Zentech Tech Blocks are prepaid support hours that let you call on Zentech's experienced technical staff to address all your support questions, problems, help you with workflows and standards, really anything you need on the technology side. We're here to provide the support you need so that your most talented people aren't being dragged into helping everybody else in your company instead of working on the billable jobs that you need them focused on. All right. So Zentech Tech Blocks are available in multiple sizes. We sell them in 5-hour, 10-hour, 20-hour, and 40-hour prepaid support blocks. And if you're interested and you need that sort of help, Rocco, how do they reach out to us?
Yeah, hit up our website, zentechconsultants.net. Give us a ring, 866-824-4459, or even drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
All right, Zentech Tech Blocks, the vital support that your people need exactly at the moment that they need it. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast, where we're talking about using Bluebeam Revu for construction estimating. And like I said in the first half, right, it's an area that has just been taking up a lot of our effort here at Zentech over the last few years. Now, as everybody listening knows, if you're a regular listener, Rocco and I, we usually try really hard not to, sell our services or products here on the show. We kind of like to keep the podcast software neutral as much as we can. But in this specific area, Zentech has actually become really one of the world's leaders in this construction estimating industry, particularly as it pertains to Bluebeam and so on. So we are going to talk about today what we do and what we offer and why this type of work has become so popular. Let's start with the training. Right? And I think that's a huge part of what we do here on the Bluebeam side. More and more, we have our construction clients who are engaging us to teach them Bluebeam at every level, right? Everything from beginners to field staff who are using Revu on iPads to the advanced industry specific classes. We work with these guys. We teach them both basic use and the detailed estimating practices, or even showing their senior guys, whoever's in charge of their estimating groups and so on, how to set up and build and configure the custom properties and tools and so on that we're kind of discussing here today. So we do all of those as needed and as required. So Rocco, right? We offer it in kind of two ways, right? We have public classes and we have private classes, both for Bluebeam and other things, but we're focused on Bluebeam today. So what's the breakdown, I guess, in terms of the interest there? Do we see folks looking for one versus the other? And where do we see construction people in particular most interested, right? Are they interested in kind of, general use for Bluebeam or estimating for Bluebeam, and do they want the public or the private classes? What's the mix up there?
Yeah, well, a lot of the construction firms look to us for content from beginner, mostly through takeoff and estimating. I mean, we do a class on advanced customization, but if we're talking strictly construction, it's getting that core understanding of Bluebeam, what it's fully capable of, from markups to collaboration to takeoff and estimating. And that's covered, again, between the beginners and the takeoff and estimating courses. I mean, between if you're talking private versus public classes, it all depends on the size of your organization and the amount of people that you want to train. I mean, if you have 4 or more folks that are looking for training on the same content, we offer the ability to be able to work with your team one-on-one. You'd have an instructor working with you one-on-one, your team one-on-one. And, there's flexibility in scheduling those classes, and we can really get into your company processes and how you want to get things done. Versus with our public classes, we do well with those classes as well, but they're meant more for the individuals within a firm who are looking to get up to speed on a particular process, or to get to learn about Bluebeam at all levels.
Yeah.
So it all depends on your need, your budget, the size firm you have, the number of licenses you have, and so on.
Well, a lot of different things. Now, and I agree with you. I think that one of the areas where I see a real benefit, in those private classes, is that it gives us that ability to focus on what those people want, right? Exactly what is your process, more or less, and answer questions pertaining to that. Whereas, the public ones have to be, because we've got people from all over the construction industry, logging in and being part of that. When we do those estimating classes, we have to be a little bit more generic. Good points. All right, so, another area that we have seen just a really big surge in is the need for Zentek's help in developing custom tool sets for Revu, particularly around quantity takeoff and estimating. In other words, right, your companies want us to develop for them reusable tool sets, right, that contain things like, pipes of specific sizes, or casework and cabinetry, security cameras, and just a million different tools to meet every company's own specific work requirements. And folks, I think, love the idea that, we can set that up for them on a centralized cloud or a network-based location and have everybody in the company using the same tools, right? Getting the same results that will look the same on every single job, right? They find it's simpler, it's faster, it's more accurate, right? Which are the 3 key components of a good estimate. And that's the important part of any estimating job. And as part of the custom configuration, right, there's a lot of other things that we can do there, right? We can tie in, things like layer control, so your takeoffs are on specific layers that you can isolate, turn on and off. We can set whatever default properties that you need for each item, like, line item costs, or, whatever you need, right? You can tell us what it is you're looking to do, what your wish list is, and usually we can make those things happen. So Rocco, how many construction firms are kind of satisfied using, the generic built-in Bluebeam takeoff tools and kind of then manually editing each item one at a time, right? Versus the ones who were looking to automate that process. And also, are you finding that they're looking to, for generic takeoff tools, right, for a broad-based industry, or are they looking for, in a custom setup, a very specific, we do this type of work type of tool?
It all depends on the situation, like always, right? I mean, the
I'm
thing
gonna cut
is
you
that,
off for a minute. I'm gonna stop allowing you to use the word "it depends." Every answer you gives me is "it depends." I want real answers. I want a solid answer. Sorry, had to
all
do
right,
it.
let me think about this then. No, I mean, look, it comes down to. See, now you screwed up my whole thought process here. Let's
Like
just
you
just,
have
just
a
see what he
thought
did to me,
process.
people.
Who are you kidding? You have no thought processes.
um, it does come down to how you want to use the product. I mean, and the time that you want to invest in utilizing. I mean, as folks get more and more into using Bluebeam and they understand the power that's behind it, particularly for takeoff and estimating, I think they start to see that, hey, I can do this, or I can do this, but I don't have the time to do it, or hey, I just can't figure this out. And between those levels, it comes down to, okay, well, let's bring in an expert like Zentech to help out, or we can do it on our own, right? That's really what it comes down to.
Okay, so
Would you agree?
yeah, no, I mean it definitely does. But yeah, I know that I find on my own end, when I'm working these projects, right? Because I tend to, once we get to that kind of project work level, that's where I really begin to get involved. I do find that it really is kind of a variant, and I find that like smaller companies.
So it does depend.
Shut up! Don't you turn my own mockery back at me? All right, it does depend. I guess you're right. Fair enough. No, it's just like I said. Some smaller firms, like a plumbing contractor, they want very, very specific tools for the type of work that they do. And then you find that as you move up into like the GC world, that they want a broader base of tools. They like having, and we almost wind up doing almost two different sets for them, which is perfectly okay. We have kind of a generic profile that lists all of the generic takeoff tools that they need. And then very often we develop for them much smaller, here's the plumbing tool set and here's the electrical tool set for what they need. So really it is, as Racco likes to say, it does really depend on the size of the company and what they're looking to get done. So, all right. So, the idea of, these predefined tools and tool sets are really intrinsic to the construction estimating process inside Bluebeam. The idea is that you can set up your tools in palettes on the side of your screen, and that gives your staff point and click access, right, to a standardized object that contains all the data and properties that they need, right? Or in other words, if they need to count how many lights they have on a job, right, they can just pick a tool that says, oh, these are 2x2 Acme ceiling lights. And then they just, click and drop those on the plan. And then that tool will give them the make, the model, the color, the power requirements, and any other properties that you need as part of your estimate. And that can save literally hundreds of hours on every job just having these, point and click type of tools. And, to that end, one of the things we've begun offering here at Zentech is what we call our Zen estimating tools. Right? These are very detailed industry-based tool sets that you can purchase and install onto your estimators' systems, to really help them dramatically speed up the estimating process without you having to invest the time, the money, and the effort of, building your own tool sets, or, even paying me to come in and customize them for you. As of this recording date today, we have two sets available, right? We have the Zen Estimate Steel set and the Zen Estimate HVAC tools. And both tool sets come with thousands of common construction items for that type of industry, along with most common quantity takeoff properties for that type of work built right into it. So for example, right, the steel products are available in both imperial and metric format. right? And that gives you, size and weight options for almost the entire structural steel industry catalog of pieces and components, right? And while the HVAC tool, that gives you all the common duct and piping sizes along with weight and gauge options. And we even include labor and equipment pricing and modification factors for distance traveled and height of installation and so on. So Rocco, with these two packages, right? How are people responding to our prepackaged tools? And I know the structural tools have been out, I think, for about 2 years now, and the HVAC is actually really new. But what are the interest levels that we see, and what kind of feedback do you get from the people who bought them?
Yeah, well, so the HVAC tools haven't been out for too long, but we're definitely seeing a lot of interest, and a lot of interest around additional customization beyond what the tools already have built. With the Zen Estimate Steel, yeah, we do particularly well with those. There's a lot of folks, particularly with the high cost of steel right now, right, of all materials, they're really looking to find ways to more accurately bid, and they just love the automation behind how the tools work. I'd probably say that a good 90% of folks that use our steel tools like them right out of the box. And then there's that 10% that love it as they are, but they just want to customize them a little bit more.
Yeah. And yeah, that's actually a good point. We do that too, right? Even if you buy our out-of-the-box tools, we can work with you to even tweak those further. If it's like, oh, that's 90% of what we need, I need just a little bit more, we can do that too. So, all right. So to be fair to our listeners, right, I do want to point out, I didn't bring up our Zen Estimate tools here today as a sales thing. I really try not to do that. But it really is just to give our listeners an idea of what the potential is for using Bluebeam as your primary takeoff and estimating tool. All right, it doesn't matter whether you want to learn to set it up yourself, right, or if you want to hire a consultant to build you custom tool sets to your specific needs, or if you want to go out and buy a pre-packaged set of industry takeoff tools like the Zen Estimate ones. It doesn't matter, right? The functionality is out there to handle almost all your takeoff needs inside of Bluebeam, right? And the ideal situation here is it's a software that as a construction company you probably already own, and you're just underutilizing it, right? So, but I will close out here on a shameless plug, right? And I say, if you need help in getting your Bluebeam takeoff system going using any of those three methods, Zentech can help, right? So you just reach out and talk to the always charming Rocco. You can email him, sales@zentechconsultants.net. Hey, anything you want to throw in there, Rocco?
Yeah, you could add a few more, lovely adjectives about me.
Yeah, but I can't use them. It's a family show. All right, folks. Thanks for listening in today. And we will catch you all on the next episode of the... I lost my cow. There it is. The Cattle Call Podcast. Have a good day, everybody. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us, 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.